I'm Bethany Anderson of Bethany Heals, and if life's been lifing lately, then you found me just in time. This is a pause, a permission slip to just be. And before we begin, let me remind you, your healing isn't on a timeline. Around here, we don't hustle our healing, we honor it. Trust that your intuition brought you here for a reason. So let's drop into our next archive episode. Hello, loves, and welcome to our very special next guest episode here on Life.ing. I am so excited for today's guest episode because, well, you'll see, there's just so many threads that bring us together and brought us to this point. Today we have the very talented Seiu, who is a traveling and nomadic artist and quantum storyteller. And she's an amazing friend of mine. And she's actually the one that pushed me to apply for the residency that I leave to next week. So
I'm
get ready,
so
Seiu,
excited.
because I'm about to pick your brain.
I'm so ready.
So
I was like wondering what kind of question you're gonna ask me today, but I was like, I don't think there's any questions from you that I can't handle.
Well, honestly, we were
Okay.
just talking about before we started with the eclipse that happened yesterday. Yesterday, I actually felt pretty fine. I was kind of
Me
chilling,
too.
nothing too wild.
I did have like a really crazy turbulence on the plane yesterday that made me contemplate on death for like a good hour, which actually
No.
happens to me all the time at this point now. My life is like so much teetering on the edge, like I'm just constantly thinking about death. But I think in a very, nourishing way to sort of like constantly reflect. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't think about how you were flying back from Amsterdam yesterday underneath the eclipse.
Yeah. Yeah.
You were just absorbing all of that energy.
I
You're just
really
like, you know what,
was.
take
I
me,
really
whatever.
was. Yeah. I was totally absorbing that and just
Oh,
like, I don't know. I feel like I'm definitely hitting a point in my traveling practice now where there's a lot of questions and doubt and confusion, but also like I think every step I take at this point feels like it comes with experience, but also, the excitement for uncertainty as well. So like I'm sort of in that threshold and it's a constant thing. So I do think that like I have a mini eclipse of my own probably happening all the time. That's what it feels like.
Oh my gosh, that's actually exactly how I feel right now, even thinking about stepping into this residency leaving next weekend. I was
I'm
thinking
so
about it before we
excited
got
for
on
you.
today. And
Yeah.
I, first of all, I was feeling fine with the eclipse yesterday. Today, I feel exhausted. Like I feel so
Yeah.
pooped. And
Yeah.
I feel like I've just been trying to like buy all of the warm clothes because it's a freaking igloo in Finland right now and I don't have any winter clothes and I'm like trying to prepare and talk to you and like get everything and also just wanting to be open and just seeing what happens. But what I was realizing today was the feeling where you're standing in front of a brand new door and it's open and
Yeah.
you're about to step through and you have no idea what's on the other side, but you know this is where you're supposed to head next. So it feels exciting and exhilarating and also terrifying and confusing. And there's just so many emotions and like just different types of feelings that I'm experiencing all at once. And I think it's definitely hitting me
It's
now.
actually such an exciting feeling though. Like I honestly would probably trade anything to go back to that moment like right before I went to Arteles for the first time because it would never happen again. Like that uncertainty, that excitement, knowing that like you just know something good's about to happen. And I have that all the time now, but it's not the same because like right back then, like 2 years ago, it was 2024. Right before I went, there was so much uncertainty that I was facing, and I just knew that if I didn't go, nothing would make sense afterwards, for the rest of the year. And it's such a good place to be. Feeling nervous and exciting,
Oh
especially
man.
about a place as transformative and as beautiful and quiet and as artless. So
Oh
I'm
my
so
gosh.
excited for you.
I mean, I got my
So
comfort, my support comfort cacao right now. My friend Lionheart Botanicals, she sponsored one of our episodes a long time ago, and I'm obsessed with her cacao.
oh,
And I was like, this is
nice.
exactly what I need right now is a heart hug.
That sounds
And
amazing.
it's keeping me
Yeah.
feeling so grounded. But you know what? I was just thinking we should probably rewind a little bit because they're probably like, who the
Mhm.
heck is Sue? What is happening? What are they talking about? So let me bring it back to the beginning for a moment, catch
Yeah.
everybody up. So,
Okay.
when I first found ceramics, it was when I was living in San Diego and I was checking out a bunch of different studios that I wanted to see where I wanted to be at. And I found this adorable studio called Make Friends in Ocean Beach. And I
I
started
am
going
literally a
there.
Make Friends expert right now. I'm repping them.
Oh, no way. Oh man, what a special place. I really loved being at Make, and that's exactly where I met Sue at because I was there all the time and so was she, but we kept having weird different hours, but I was just like, we're vibing. Like I feel you. I know you somehow. I don't know what life we've had together, but we're gonna stay in
I don't
touch.
even remember what was like the first moment that we met. Do you remember like when we first met? Like what was it
No,
like?
I have no idea what
Right?
like
I
the
can't. I was trying
conversation
to like
was.
think when was the first time I met the first moment that
I don't
we like
know. Maybe it was
actually
like a late night. Maybe it was like a late night or something, and we just started chitty chatting. And then I was like, "When do you come? I'm gonna try and come when you go," or something like that. Because it was like going
yeah,
after
maybe. That
hours.
sounds familiar. Yeah. But I
Wow, that
do
was so long
remember
ago.
very specifically after that, like the hangout sessions that we've had and all the stuff that we've actually done together. Those because we sort of hung out like towards right around when I was leaving San
Yeah,
Diego to do this traveling nomadic life. So those moments became so memorable for me as the points
I
of
agree.
reflection. Yeah. Even up until today.
100%. Yeah, the
Hmm.
ceramics brought us together, but the personal stories kept us
How
together.
amazing. I love that. Clay is just wonderful in doing that. And I honestly don't think, like, yeah, I love that Clay brought us together, especially from a
I
community
know.
studio place where we became friends there.
I
And we
know.
still stay connected throughout this whole time. Clay is
It's
strong.
so wild. I love it so much. And I would love for you to share just a little bit about your connection to just art and creativity because y'all, if you ever hear me talking about Sue, it's I am probably sound like a creepy person that's been like watching her forever because I just always speak so highly of you and your talents. I think you're one of the most talented artist creatives that I know. It's so inspiring
Oh,
and it's not just clay. It's watercolor, it's writing, it's so many things and it
thank
like
you.
the creativity just oozes from you so naturally and beautifully and I just respect the craft so much and I would love for people just to hear a little bit about what even brought you into this world and how it ties into just what you do today.
Okay, thank you. Well, first, thank you so much for that. It's really sweet because I think as an artist, I'm constantly in this like moment of like transformation, doubts, and confusion, which is like a very natural part of the work. So to hear this kind of affirmation is just such a gift every single time. So that was really thank you. I love that.
Yay.
What brought me to creativity? I don't like it's interesting as people ask me that all the time about how I became an artist and what is it that I do. And I don't think there was ever a moment where I am not an artist ever since I was a kid. I was raised by, a chemical engineer who built an amusement park from the ground up, and from a vocalist who was also playing piano. So I was surrounded by art growing up, from like music to like big amusement park sculptural stuff, environment. And so I was constantly sort of like basked in that creativity and knowing that creative work can be a thing to sustain me in the future. So I always dreamed in the capacity of like wanting to be a creative ever since I was a kid. And I used to I single-handedly organize a play before when I was like
Oh
maybe
my
9
gosh.
years old. Yeah. I
How
wrote an entire
cute.
play. I didn't know at the time. I just like saw a play. I was like, "Ooh, I want to do that." I didn't know that like a theater work like requires like maybe 10 different people putting a production together. So I did it all by myself and just I casted my own actors and actresses in my own play. I wrote the script. I designed all the props and I was just like, this is really hard work. And I realized, oh my gosh, I was like doing 10 people's work as a
Yeah.
kid. So that was that was crazy. But I think, yeah, I've always been really, I, I don't know. My friend likes to say that's kind of like a tenacity, it's like audacity and like tenacious when it comes to creativity. When I was a kid, I've always felt like, oh, I
Mm.
see this, I'm inspired, and I can always do it, which was interesting because it sort of faded away as I grew up all the way until I was 20. And then right around like the age of 20 years old, I was like, yeah, maybe artist is not going to be a thing because, my parents went through a huge failure with their amusement park project. And that sort of put such a huge traumatic experience for all of us. And
Mm.
I think right around age 20, my family was all saying that, dreams and creativity are not going to work out. You need to find something else. So I got into like a different thing in college and then just sort of put art on the side as a sort of hobby, but never went away. Like I'll always find time to do art. But as I progressed around my Saturn return, that was when it was like, hey,
Hmm.
like I just sort of started facing all these different life decisions and doubts and choices and option, and then realized that I am an artist. And right around a time when painting wasn't really working out with me, I met clay. I walked past Make and I was like, ooh, this sounds fun. And the first day I went there, I was like, I'm going to be a clay artist, full-time clay artist. I don't know how, I'm just going to do it. And that kid in me just like came alive and was like, yeah, I can do
Came
it.
right back out.
Yeah. And I was, like now looking back, I'm just like, how did I get that audacious about this? People hurt me wanting to be a full-time clay artist 2 weeks into doing clay. They're just like, what? You don't even know this medium. I was like, it doesn't matter. It's art. Like I am an artist.
It's
It
wild. You
totally
picked it up so
transferable.
quickly.
I did though.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's another thing.
Because
Yeah.
I feel like we started around the same time. You just
Mm,
were freaking in it, committed, and you just like
I
have a natural
was.
affinity for just beautiful things.
Oh, thank you.
So I'm not surprised at all.
Thank you. It definitely had been hard, going into it because I am a Pisces moon. So everything that I do, I'm just like, it's doable. I can build a building in 2 months or something. I always have these really audacious projects that I have
Far-reaching
awareness.
dreams.
Yeah, like, I'm just every time I have an idea, I'm just like, I'm gonna do this. But I'm also appreciative of that because I feel like when I make a decision like this, it does require me to be a little blind about this whole thing. Otherwise,
Yeah.
like if I were to face a challenge and obstacles first and without this like audacious, you know, ability to dream about things, like I think I would have just been deterred very early on to not do any of this because it has been really
Yeah.
difficult, but also beautiful at the same time, right? So, yeah,
Yo, clay is humbling, to
it
say the
is.
least.
Absolutely. It really is.
It,
Yeah.
woo, it truly is. But I kind of needed that. Like that's what I got it out of for me. It was more of a healing space for me. It kind of became this mirror of how I was showing up in my life. And I noticed whenever I had certain
I love
interactions with the
that.
clay, whether I was angry or happy or sad or frustrated, it would always show in my work. And
I
so it kind of
know.
became this, right? Like this physical manifestation of the
Yes.
things that I may not necessarily have been paying attention to consciously, right?
Yes. And I love that because, like, I actually read one thing that you wrote maybe like 2 years ago when you were reflecting on clay and how it's such a realistic material that shows everything. And I remember reading that. I was just like, yeah, definitely. And I was also really amazed about how intuitive and how intuitively sensitive you are to this medium. And it absolutely is. It's just like it's earth, it's the earth element.
Yeah.
And it also, like, just the making of clay, of ceramics, it embodies all four elements. There's fire, there's air, there's water, and there's
Yeah.
earth. So while working through these four elements, it definitely, I think, it confronts you to the very
Yeah.
core of yourself and who you are, and like what emotions are you dealing with today while you're making. And I think that's also what I love about it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I meant to touch on earlier, I didn't want to lose that thought about, I wanted to say, I
Okay.
love that your 9-year-old self never left you.
Oh
It
yeah.
only took a Saturn return to bring him back.
I know. The Saturn return was intense though.
Yo, mine
I think
was
there's so
wild. I
much.
was not okay.
Mm, I was not okay either. I don't know,
Oh my
like, at
gosh.
one time I was in the hospital for like almost 2 months in confinement because it was during COVID, and they wouldn't let me out. There was no window. I was literally in a really old hospital room with no escape, no walking time, nothing. And I had to confront
Oh
all the
my
demons
gosh.
in that very hospital room. I had to clean the bathroom and everything. It was,
Girl.
yeah,
Girl.
I know.
Oh man, if there's one thing that I've learned about Saturn returns is they're necessary, right? Because they really, really
They
mold
do, yeah.
and force, and they push us to become the person that we're actually supposed to be, and it forces us to clear out all of the other crap that isn't ours
Yeah.
that we need to clean out of the way so we can finally see ourselves. But if you
Mhm.
don't have like the tools, the practices to keep you grounded in a Saturn return, I think that's why it's so shocking for most people, because at that age we're like our mid 20s where we don't really have all those tools yet for most people. So Saturn returns, I
Yeah.
feel like, always come up as something that's very huge for most people because we're just gathering our bearings in life. If life's been lifing and you keep telling yourself, I'll come back to my practices, to myself when things calm down, I want you to hear this. There's no perfect schedule, but there is a way back that fits your actual life. Echoes of Self is my 4-week guided experience designed to help you reconnect with yourself in the middle of your day-to-day life in a way that actually feels like it's yours. Each week, you'll receive curated rituals, reflective prompts, and voice notes from me. We'll begin with a live opening ceremony so you feel supported from the start. And everything lives inside your private Echoes home base. The weekly drops, the prompts, replays, all of it. So there's no digging through a bunch of emails, no tracking links, just one calm place to return to. Echoes isn't here to fix you. It's here to help you hear yourself again underneath all of the noise and distractions. This is devotion in a way that feels accessible and honest and yours. You can join the waitlist through the link in the show notes below.
That's true.
In a
And I
way.
also feel like even like tools or no tools, like I don't think any of us would have gone over something so heavy, because, the force of Saturn, like, it brings back so much like family stuff and things that like
Mm-hmm.
happened, in our childhood, and just really difficult things that we sort of like, I don't want to say sweep under the rug, but just like we didn't even know that it's still there. And it
Yeah.
forces us, or it forced us, now that we're over that, to confront so many things. I didn't even know they existed. I was just like, I have to
I
do
didn't
what?
either. I had no idea I was in a Saturn return. Yeah.
Yeah. To live with my grandmother, go through like all the different difficult childhood memories while she's like criticizing me.
Mm-mm.
And while I'm not talking to my dad. Like, it was a whole thing. So yeah, definitely
Yeah, just a heads
difficult.
up, if you're curious what that midlife crisis is, that's your second Saturn return. So stay tuned.
Yeah. I'm actually
But
excited
that
for the
one's
second
always
Saturn
like much
return.
less because yeah, that one we've lived enough life where it's like, okay, let's come on,
Yeah, I'm
Saturn,
like, I
let's
mean,
let's
there's
work
no
through
way I can
this. Let's clean it
prepare
up.
for sure. Like, I know, but I'm also excited because every time, like, when I'm like making difficult life decision nowadays, I'm always like, okay, that is for the next Saturn return that's coming
Yeah.
in 20 or so years. Yeah. But I know there
You're
is
like,
no way to
I'll put a
predict that
pin in
because
that.
by
I'll
that
come back
point,
to that.
I know. Yeah. But I think about a lot like what will happen then because then I would be what, 60 years old. My parents probably won't be around anymore. My grandmother would definitely not be around anymore. And what would it be like to deal with something like this? So,
Yeah.
you know, yeah.
Wow. So, okay, we made it through the Saturn returns. We're going to close that door. Boop.
Why? No more.
I would love to hear how your journey's been being a nomadic artist. What has it been like? What's your experience like? What's it like bouncing around, being in different countries, meeting all these different people, working with your art? Your art is molding and changing as you move around. What has this experience been like for you?
There's so many things I can talk about, but like I think if I were to talk about speak of like my current journey right now, I'm having doubts
Yeah.
about being a traveling artist every day because this is a third year that I'm doing this. And I think when you're doing the first year, it's like it's fun, like you think that this is going to be, well, I thought it was going to be something that I would do for a year or two, and then I'll find a place where I want to stay and stay there. But this is year
Mm,
three, and I have not. And also, I'm also being confronted of my nomadic nature and also my identity as a Taiwanese who is constantly in this like diasporic experience because of our, the difficulty of our political position or international position. And also
mm.
the way I was raised, my parents are also very nomadic as well. So, and I realize that I'm being confronted about my identity nowadays and also
Yeah.
making choices. Like, I feel like every step I take on, particularly this year, it feels like this uncertainty opens up even bigger and bigger. So this past time, this
Wow.
last month when I was at Arteles, when I was like in this complete silence, and I think I sort of like realize how far gone into the uncertainty that I am. Like I looked down, I was like, I'm just in this complete darkness. I can't see my fingers. I can't see where I'm going. Not really. I mean, I have a vision, but I'm just, the uncertainty is getting bigger and bigger. I think every day I choose to do this. So I think the weight is definitely getting
Wow.
bigger at this point. And how does that affect my art making? Well, my art making is also changing as well, right? There's so much that's
Yeah.
happening within my artistic practice because I think I'm constantly in this residency setting where it's so intensive. There's so much, issues and different concept being discussed where I'm constantly having to strip away, like what doesn't belong to me to the bare core identity. And yesterday I realized that I love institution and I would love to be in a museum show and,
Mm,
really hone in on my, different philosophical practice when it comes to my art. And yeah, that's just something that is really hard. Like, it's interesting to have that, but also dealing with so much uncertainty that happens on a day-to-day basis. And there's definitely a lot of instability that happens, with when I'm constantly moving places, and also a lot of things that could
yeah.
happen on my journey where I couldn't expect it. But one thing that I think when I look back to the past 2 years that I've been 2.5 years now that I've been doing this is that I've gotten really deep at my relationship with like the universe, like whoever, like everybody has sort of a different notion of what that's like. Sometimes people call it universe, God, the divine source, or anything. I feel like my relationship with the universe has gotten so deep at this point where my everyday decision making in life it's filled with purpose, it feels like. So I think that's how it's keeping me going, where even though I'm traversing into this territory where it's really uncertain and very scary, I'm also confronted with purpose, meaning on a day-to-day basis. And to me,
Yeah.
I think this is always sort of the pocket I wanted to live in my whole life. I've always dreamed of this pocket my whole life. Ever since, yeah, I was a kid, I've always have this feeling that I'm going to be doing exactly what I'm doing today. I just didn't know like how wildly confusing it's really
Yeah.
going to be,
And
even
what
though.
that yeah, what that's gonna look like in your day-to-day life. It's different when we have
Exactly.
the vision and we know that this is what we're supposed to be doing, but in the day-to-day, it's a whole other story, right? Like,
Yeah, for
I
sure.
think that's something a
Definitely.
lot of people can relate to with the being in the void kind of in this unknown
Yes.
space. And it's interesting because I was gonna ask you if you felt this same way because I've been in places in my life where I was in that deep unknown space,
Right.
but I was where I was supposed to be. So I was okay being in that weird
Oh,
unknown where it's like, I don't know what's going to happen next. I don't know what I'm doing. And this is uncomfortable, but I also know this is the path I'm supposed to be on. And I've also been on the other end where it's like, I'm in
mm,
the unknown. I'm definitely on the wrong path. That's it. I feel like they're similar experiences, but very different feelings, you know?
yeah, definitely. And I love that you just said about having that multiple facets of experience with unknown and uncertainty. And that's so true. There's sometimes on my nomadic journey where I'm just like, yeah, I love this. I really want to do this. And then recently I'm confronted on the areas where I feel unfulfilled. And redefining what nomadic means. Like it was interesting because like the 2 days ago when my best friend was taking me to the airport, he was like, "You're a very like a luxurious nomad because you get like two big suitcases. You're making choices where usually like a stereotypical nomad that's being portrayed in a film and literature, you would not read things like this when somebody is nomad." And I just think that was so interesting because I'm like, oh, am I just defining, doing my own definition of what a nomad can be and look like?
I
But I
think
say this very
so.
confidently.
Absolutely.
I don't know if being overconfident about
I mean,
this, but
even when we were talking the other weekend and or the other day, or just whatever, the past few weeks, about just
yeah.
me getting ready for this residency. And I'm like, where
Hmm.
did you stay? Where should I stay? How long should I stay in this place? And like the places that you sent me, I loved. You're like, I don't know
Yeah.
if you're going to like these. I'm like, no, these are right up my alley. But I thought the same thing. I'm like, this is not a nomadic lifestyle.
Because I
This is
know.
fancy. Like, I love it.
I
I'm here
know.
for it. And also,
Yeah. I know. People always think that way.
oh, great.
But I have my reason for that, right? Like, I just know that, being an autistic nomadic artist, like, I'm very sensitive to my environment. Like, I love a tiny room. The
Hmm.
lighting matters to me. The way the bathroom is matters to me. And I've saved $50 and to choose somewhere that's a bit I wouldn't say shabby, but it's just like, and that's not what I was looking for. And I had like an intense meltdown for the entire
Yeah.
night. So I was like, well, that's not worth it. But also
Not an
like,
option. Yeah.
yeah. And I also talked about like, that's how my relationship with the universe got deeper because I was like, look, I am autistic and and I have a need for, the sensitivity to my space.
Help a
And
sister
if this
out.
is exactly, it's so true. I was like, if I am continuing to do this and this is a collaboration, if this is moving into the realm of purpose and meaning, and I am really meant to do this, then I have an accommodation requirement that needs to be fulfilled. And, I don't know. I don't know where it almost feels delusional at some point, at some times, but I don't know what else to
I
do
loved your
because
ex. I'm not complaining. And why not? Know your worth, know what works for you and like how you want to live. And I'm a firm believer that we should always just ask for what it is that we want and that we need.
yeah,
And, if it's meant for us, it's given to us and that's it. Like we don't have to
this is
explain
true. Yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
If we
Hmm.
know this is what allows us to feel grounded and centered and safe within ourselves and secure, then run me that nice hotel room, universe, you know?
I know. Yeah, but also like, I deal with I don't want to say I'm unstable in my income, but like they come in such weird timing as well. So sometimes when I'm
Mm,
booking a hotel, I
yeah.
literally have like $500 in my bank account or less, and I have to like really
Yeah.
plan that. That's also another reality is that I am working with, sometimes with a bank account that has like $15. And I'm just like, okay, where's the next money going to come from? Right.
We'll figure this out.
So, when people ask me like, how do I navigate this uncertainty? I would, I think back to the time where I did know that I would probably get into this lifestyle. So I have built multiple sources and channels where income could flow in a very unexpected time. But even with that, there's still a lot of uncertainty when it comes to this kind of decision making, and also guilt and shame that I have to deal with from time to time. Be like, can I just put up with something that is not so luxurious? But, at this point, I've realized that's very hard for me. So yeah, this is
Yeah.
definitely, I feel
Yeah.
like, a different definition and different position I'm put into to make the decision that is not typically associated with, someone who is nomadic and traveling all the time.
Yeah. Do you think this might be the year where you kind of get a little bit more of a semi-permanent location for yourself?
I don't know. I mean, I thought about it. I think a couple weeks ago, I was like, oh, maybe I should just move to Japan and Hokkaido. But then I look at the requirements of what I need to do for that. Like, I need to attend schools. I need to be at a place where it's stable. And then just
Okay.
that entire stability really put me in a place of anxiety. And
Yeah.
I feel like I just need to keep moving. That's what I feel like. But I do think that I have gone into a pattern where I'm realizing that I can stay at a place for a little longer than just a month or two.
Mm,
I can probably stay in a place where
yeah.
I love for 3 months if I want to. And then I can also return to places multiple times instead of just like going to new places all the time. Right. The most important
Yeah.
thing is I'm
Yeah.
moving. I am going somewhere, I'm moving, and that is the most important thing to me. And I'm
Yeah.
also like nomadic, not exactly by choice, but by needs, right? Like I had a history of like just constantly sort of like falling apart and having a lot of mental health issues when I stay at a place for too long. So that's one thing
Mm,
that I was also confronted when I was like making the decision for the third year to keep doing this, is that where is this decision coming from? Like, is it just because I want to
yeah.
keep moving, or is there a deeper need that's happening there? And there is a deeper need that's happening there. And I'm not ready to anchor down or settle down, but I can just figure out a pattern, like, right, so I can do Taiwan for a month and then US for 2 months, Europe for 2 months,
Yeah.
and then like go back to the same place, Taiwan for another month. And, I think my position and where I'm from, the other day I was also thinking I am privileged in a way that my family and my parents, where I'm going in Vegas now, they do have a place where my parents are also nomadic, so they leave and I can occupy their place for about 2 months, and then I have a room in my ancestral home, which I realize that's actually a really big deal, because that sort of like
Yeah.
showed, yeah, like I have a place in my grandmother's house where I have a room I can put my stuff, and I have a bed, and that, I think it changes sort of the situation, even though it doesn't feel like a place of belonging, but it does make me feel anchored somehow that I can
There's
just
an
keep moving.
anchor.
Yeah. So I do recognize my
Yeah.
unique position in that sense, because I think now that I've met a couple of different nomadic travelers, artists, digital nomads and stuff, like we all have such unique reason why we do this, and also a unique way of moving. It's actually really hard to meet another nomad, because we all
Wow.
move differently. Yeah. I haven't met
Yeah.
one like
Yeah.
the past 6 months, but I did meet like three last year. So that was amazing.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Okay,
Yeah.
so even though you are in the in between, I
Hmm.
would love to hear what are some other artists or works that you've seen lately that have just been lighting you up? Because I feel like when we get in those
Oh my
spaces,
God.
it's like, okay, let me see what else is out there to just absorb and be in this art, right? Yeah, what's been lighting you up lately?
Oh my God. There's so many. I am always inspired by my residency mates. The other day, people were asking me, like, oh, like, do you love, they asked me about these like artists in the 18th century. I was like, I am so absorbed by contemporary artists now that like I forgot about them for a second.
I
But
love contemporary art. It's my
yeah,
favorite.
it's amazing the kind of work and things that they're creating in a contemporary world. Like, because there's like computer science. Like today, I just went to an exhibition at Emerson College that it's about the intersection of spirituality and science. And, you know, it was
Whoa.
so
Wait, I love that.
incredible. There was an artist who interviewed all the different medicine women from her culture and, you know, talk about healing and different herbal properties. There's one that is doing a research on beetle tracks and just like copying down the different symbols that the beetles carved on the wood to sort of like decode it with language, like, you know, things like that.
That's
And my
wild.
current
Yeah.
most obsessed artist, like the artist that like just completely blows my mind, is Sarah Z, who is a Boston born, New York based artist.
Mhm.
Oh my God, her work is incredible because it deals with like spatial awareness, architecture, and her art is so
Mm.
complicated. It deals with like, you know, interactions with space, and there's so much that happens with her work that she also, you know, uses a lot of found objects where it blurs the line between like what
Yeah.
we think art is and to
Mm.
challenge, like, you know, where does it begin and where does it end when you look at her sculptural work. So it's incredible.
Sick.
Yeah,
Love that.
I am constantly, I think this is what I love about, you know, my life as well. I'm constantly meeting contemporary artists, emerging artists, established artists whose work is just like blowing my, I'm learning so much, I'm absorbing so much. And yeah,
Yeah,
I do
right?
feel like, yeah, I love them. It's incredible.
Oh, that's so cool. I love this. Okay, so listen, we're about to lock in for a minute.
Okay. I thought we
Y'all,
were locked in already.
we're
Are we
we're
not
gonna
locked in?
I know we've been locked in, but we're about to really get locked in because I want to
Okay, shoot,
hear
I'm ready.
about your experience with Arteles. Y'all, okay, Sue's the one that got me to apply for this residency. I have no idea what I'm doing, no idea what I'm experiencing, but I would love to hear how your experience was because you just got out like a week ago.
I did. 2 weeks
And
ago.
I know you're not going to tell me anything, but I
I've been
also
trying to
want you
be,
to tell
yeah.
me something.
Okay. Okay.
I
Do
guess
you,
just
is there
really
something particular that you want to know? Maybe you can ask me questions that is not related to you trying to find out. Because I don't know, I
no,
just
I
really
mean,
want to keep this open for you. And
I know I don't want you to taint my experience, and I know that you wouldn't. But I think just overall, maybe giving just the people that are listening what an experience is like being in a residency. What about that? What is that like? Because not everybody has the opportunity to do something like this.
that's true. Okay. Residency in general, or just like Artless? Because it's definitely
Artless.
very different. Okay, Artless. All right,
Okay,
cool.
fine. I'm gonna say whatever, whatever comes up for you.
Okay. It's hard to talk about Artless because of how special it is. It's such a bodily experience, and that I think now I can actually begin to talk about it because it's my third year being invited back. And I sort of took the time to journal every single day where I go really deep into my experience and really think about like, why is this place so special? And there's so many things about it, but I think for me is that the people that go to Artlist is the kind of people
Mm,
that I wish to meet on a daily basis. And what's so special about Artlist is that like it is like they usually separate months into the programs, right? And every program has a theme. So the theme that we entered in this time is silence, awareness, and existence, where there is silent days and in the middle of Finnish winter where it's so cold, like 0 degrees, and you
I am
are
not ready.
there in the middle, like surrounded by forest and nature and without any distractions from the outside world. And this place also has a history of being a school building before, where there was a lot of learning and knowledge just already instilled in the land. And then you also have like
Mm,
history of at least 10 years of artists going in and out of that place and pouring their love into it. So I love that place so much. It is a place I think I would protect and love until I die. Like, that's how I feel. But if I were to talk about my experience this time, is that I don't know what do I even say? Because I really don't want to ruin this for you, but like,
Oh,
um,
fine.
I would
You can
say
even just speak
though,
in general to what you get out of.
yeah,
Okay, I'm
I
listening.
would say though, every time when I plan for Arliss, it never pans out how I planned it. But every time I go back, I
Great.
always ended up picking up pieces that exactly what I need. So the first year when I went, I can talk about like my past experience, right? So the first year when I went, I just started my traveling artist life. And I didn't know it at the time, but I had tons of doubt. I felt like I couldn't do this. I felt like I was having so much doubt about myself and who I am as an artist. And I got there and I met the most incredible people who are just like me, who believe in magic, who are thinking in art constantly, who have really deep sensitivity and speak the same kind of language as me. And my mind was completely blown because I was like, oh, there are people like this in this world. Like, it wasn't in my imagination. I've been dreaming about this for like so long. And we became such great friends. Like,
Yeah.
we went into the sauna naked and everybody just come in such honesty and vulnerability. And we all trauma bonded basically. Cause like, I feel like Arliss has this really special thing where it draws people who are in mid of transitioning or they're going through tons of transformation. So you meet people that are like this and who are, one evening we got into a conversation analyzing everyone's slipper steps of like, just telling how like what kind of personality they are, what they're going through that day, and you just go into that kind of conversation on a daily basis. And that's so special. And I think the first time at Arliss, I needed to know that people like this, artists like this exist in the world. And that's exactly what it gave me. And also a place that is just so beautiful and so much nature. And the second year, when I went there, I think I was at a point where I was looking to expand my art, not just on collection drop, only doing ceramic sculpture. I want to expand my writing, my drawing, like all the different multi-interdisciplinary thing that I do. But I was scared because like, I was confronted with the issues with money and scarcity. And I was just like scared that if I were to pursue what I want, it would not pan out. But then I did a whole installation show there. I hosted a workshop. I created a tarot board game my first year, and I got to run in the second year. And that just like expanded the entire year last year, where I created, a participatory traveling installation that I get to bring everywhere and get people into art making, and also how to sort of like deal with uncertainty and really difficult emotion in the miniature scale. And that's exactly the project I did at Arliss. And that was incredible. And then this time, I also knew that I couldn't really plan when I go there, but I also like knowing the place better. I was like, okay, I'm just going to be open-minded. I know I'm going to journal every day and not plan anything. And that's exactly what I did. But this time was really special because I know what I desire, which is like, expanding more, even more into my interdisciplinary practice. And I want to submit things like, for shows in a museum and stuff like that. And those kind of things require a more prolonged period of art making and being patient and sitting in the unknown in a longer period of time. And where it gets messy and difficult and you're dealing with tons of unknown and also like, am I going to make money? Is this going to pan out? That kind of thing. And this time at Arliss, I realized that I have to create a entry process and an exit process. And it was so special because I met I met tons of artists who helped me through those process to help me identify like what was the obstacles in my art making and how do I enter? Like, for example, play with gravity, lay on the floor, do that kind of stuff. And then when I leave my artistic process, there's a whole exit process where like I walk backwards into the bathroom, I do something really fun, I go off for a walk and things like that. So those are the things I never thought about, because I just think that, like, creative practice lives in my everyday life. I just make art wherever I go and however I do. But I realize that there is tons of these technical stuff that needs to also be nurtured and
Yeah.
tweaked when you are a serious artist. And so Arliss
Yeah.
gave me
And be
that.
able to make the separation sometimes.
Yeah. And also all the wishes I make there come true. So that is that's yeah,
Noted.
I know. I love making wishes there. I think that's why I go back to the winter program. I make wishes there and I talk to all the trees, and the wishes I've been making so far since like the first time I've been there has all came true in a very crazy way.
Wow.
So I
Wait, I love
yeah.
this so much.
You'll
So wait,
see.
I
You'll
do have a
see.
question. I know.
Mhm.
I was like, okay, I'm zipping it. I'll be patient.
Yeah,
What
be
would you say
patient.
are some of the spiritual practices that have really allowed you to stay grounded throughout this whole process over the past few years? What are some of the practices that you keep coming back to?
Yeah. I think people ask me that a lot as well. Because I just seem to be someone who is like really confident that there is a source or a divinity that I'm connecting to. But I think there's been a lot of shared experience so far where, let's say, I am at $5 and I'm like, I need food tomorrow and I need money to come through. And I've been really like, I feel like all my requests has been answered, all my needs have been taken care of while I am honoring this purpose that I find that is my life. Some of the things that I love, well, I use a lot of tools as well, right? Like I use my tarot cards, I am constantly
Yeah.
reading oracles, but also I find that writing has been really incredible, especially also getting in touch with nature. It's been something that helped me anchor into my spiritual practice and connecting with the universe or the source. And also, I had a really renewed sense of understanding of the spirituality of mine since the last year. Because like I sort of hit the point where I was
Yeah.
just like, am I being completely delusional that I'm believing there's something here? And I realized that no, I'm not. And I think since I was going through my autism unmasking, I had to confront so much of my spirituality and what I believe in. And I was raised, in a church culture where I was raised that way, but I realized that for me that doesn't work at all. I'm more spiritual than I am religious. So I've left that practice very early on in my early 20s and just find what does it mean to connect with something that's divine. And I think in my
Yeah.
heart I've always felt like something like this exists, but recently I realized it's all actually connected. Like no matter what you're talking
It
about in terms
is
of science,
really.
I feel like there's a divine source somewhere. And some people call it a universe, some people call it God, goddess, doesn't matter what it is. But I think that I do have a very deep relationship with that divinity source. So I used to feel like, oh, there's only one way to communicate. And I realized no, there's multiple ways. But
Mhm.
my favorite ways are tarot cards, oracles, writing, going into nature, and also through art. And I think because the sort of divinity that I believe in is also a creator. Like I call this source creator who's obsessed at
Yeah.
creation, who doesn't know when to stop. And I feel like we have that in common, in terms of
Yeah.
creation and also being obsessed with like the really tiny details. And I think I have bonded with that source through art making a lot, where there's a lot of messages that comes through to me, a lot of like really interesting like quantum entanglement where I'm writing about something, I made a work about something, and someone just completely gravitated towards and told me that this is my story. How did you know? I get messages like this almost on a daily basis, and I just find that
Wow.
really incredible. So there's a lot of things like this that happens like where I can't explain. There's no logical sense to it. And I think that really anchored my spiritual practice because I love miracles and I think they happen every day.
Yes, miracles are
Yeah,
so magical and they do happen every day.
every day.
The miracles are what keep us moving. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
The other day, I got into a conversation about feeling so grateful, like, with my friend, and I think he's sort of on the cusp of wondering, does this source really like exist? And then he was like, well, God really has to prove himself to me to show me that, he really exists. Or and for me, I don't look at it that way in such a definitive way of saying like, oh, it's a he is a God, but it's everywhere. But I was like, yeah, it's just something that I think it takes noticing in really tiny things and
Yeah.
connecting to
Yeah.
those, like, yeah, and then it's in the air, it's unseen, and we all have the affinity to notice things like this in our lives. Yeah.
100% synchronicities, signs, the unseen, the intangible are just as real as the physical and the things that we
It's
can
so,
see right
yeah,
in front of us. They are
exactly.
equally just as real, right?
It's
And
like
it
the other
really
side of the
is.
coins, they're like one thing, and it's a
Yeah,
constant thing.
right?
Like, it's always there. Yeah.
Well, Sue, I'm so happy that you took the time to just connect with me because I know that you literally landed from Amsterdam yesterday and you've been
I
running
did.
around all today like a madman. And I'm sure you're so tired. So I will definitely let you go. But before we
Okay.
close, how can people find you? What's coming up for you next?
Well, you can find me on my Instagram on Seiu Makes. So SeiuMakes. I usually post like my travel stories and different things. I'm expanding on my writing universe currently. So that'll be really exciting to connect that way with people. And what's happening for me next? I am going to be in the States for 2 months, probably making some work and also hosting a workshop in Vegas. And I'm going back to Arteles again in May for a different residency program called Way Beyond, which is all about like science and the cosmic and unknown, which I'm really excited about because my current art practice is so much involved in like the science and physics and quantum storytelling and stuff like that. So I'm so excited about that. And later half of the year, probably, a little ceramics adventure in China with my friend Katie. So I'm really excited
Ooh.
about that. Yeah, those are the things that are coming up that I'm like so excited about.
Well, we can't wait to watch your adventures and your travels and your art
Thank
that you make
you.
all along the way.
Thank
And,
you.
I just can't wait to update you when I get back.
I am so excited about your update. Like, I
Me
cannot
too.
wait to
Oh
hear
my
what is it
gosh.
going to be like for you, which house you lived in, and like what kind of stuff that happens for you when you're there.
Uh,
Every day
yeah, I'm actually
when I was
kind
there,
of
it's like crazy
grateful
for
that
me.
there's no pressure to have like a project at the end because
Yes.
I I I think that that kind of takes some of the pressure off of just allowing me to kind of be in the space and just see what comes up for me, you know?
Yeah, I also love the preparation that you have for yourself where you're like going to be disconnecting from the internet for a whole month. And that's exactly the kind of mindset you want to have going to Artlist. Picking up a phone there felt so heavy. Everything felt heavy. Any sound felt heavy when I was there, which is just, I was
Wow.
just like, how? Like, I do this. I'm a digital nomad when I'm just on my phone all the time, where over there, I don't know where my phone was most of the time.
I need that. I have been craving, you have no idea how long I've been craving this. I have felt so disconnected from my own voice through my writing when I'm creating, through my content. And I feel like I've just been so bombarded by everything outside of me. And I have been craving a complete disconnect so I can hear my voice again. And
You're
so
gonna
that's
hear
what I'm
your
excited
voice
for.
very loud and clear when you're there. Just be
Oh,
ready. I
can't
would
wait.
say, be ready to give yourself the self-care tools to nurture that when you're there. So whether it is that you need to bring extra pajamas or, have extra budget for food that you would cook, like, that you'll splurge on yourself, like do that because my gosh, the first time I was there, like, yeah, there were so many experiences I just like did not expect that was going to happen. And
Oh my
yeah,
gosh. Noted. Extra snacks. All
I'm so
right, here
excited
we
for you though.
go. Well, I'll see you on the other side, babe. Awesome. Thank you
Yeah,
so
see
much. I'll talk to
you.
you soon. All right. Bye. Bye,
Okay.
everyone.